Hey everybody, so we had some big news after the close Friday. We found out that Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, has bought shares of Barrick Gold in the second quarter. So why is this big news? It's because, Warren Buffett, he's not really a stock trader. He's a stock investor. That means him and his portfolio managers, they're looking for investments in the long term. And someone like Warren Buffett, there's literally no one on the planet who studies the markets more than Warren Buffett, no one who has been trading longer in the markets more than Warren Buffett, and no one who's more of a student of economics and of the stock market than Warren Buffett. So this is a person, when he makes a trade, more often than not, he knows what he's doing. Now, if you follow Warren Buffett, you know that he talks pretty badly about gold. He says it just sits there and does nothing but looks good and be shiny. So the fact that he bought Barrick Gold, or Berkshire Hathaway bought Barrick Gold, is pretty much of a big deal because this kind of runs contrary to what he usually talks about. So if you look at Barrick Gold right now, it was kind of flattened down a little bit for the day, but it soared 8% after hours. And if you look at the chart of Barrick Gold, it's not it hasn't been exactly in the past month performing like gold itself, but now that's going to change, and that's also going to give a green light to a lot of gold miners. You're going to see, like, let's look at the GDX ETF for gold here. It's probably going to be up big Monday and then continue onward next week, because when Warren Buffett basically, someone who's against gold historically, who's now buying gold miners, that pretty much says that a lot of people are going to jump into gold, especially a lot of value investors. So that's going to give gold a lot of momentum. And also, it's my belief that the 2020s, the decade of the 2020s, is going to mirror that of the decades of the 2000s. And if you look at the decade of the 2000s, the stock market literally went nowhere from that period. So if you look here, it kind of started, if you just look at the SPY, it started at 144, in the beginning of 2000. At the end of 2009, like kind of the last day of 2009, it ended up at let's see, like probably about 114. So it went down a little bit. But if you look at this 10 years period, it was pretty much flat. However, it was a big decade for two things. It was a big decade for commodities, and it was also a big decade for tech stocks. So I think for the 2020s, you're going to have a big decade for the tech stocks and a big decade for the commodities. Now, the one exception to that, I think, will be oil. I think oil is not going to move very much because every vehicle, probably by the end of the 2020s, is going to be electric. And, what's that going to do for oil? And you probably have other things that used to run on fossil fuels are going to run on electric. So I think oil is pretty much done. However, for this decade, if you want to look at like a long-term investment or good trades on the upside, it's probably going to be tech and gold. So that's just something to think about. Now, looking at what the markets did on Friday, we saw that the market was pretty much falling, and then it popped and pretty much finished flat. It's really bucking up against its all-time high here. And next week is be very, very crucial because we're going into expiration week, and this is the last expiration week. And then you get into September, which is seasonally the worst month of the year for stocks. So, if the S&P rolls over and fails next week, that's going to be bad for September, at least for the stock market. Gold is historically strongest in September, so gold may look good for September. So that's just something to keep in mind. Keep in mind gold as a short-term play and a long-term play now that Buffett is investing into Barrick Gold. And like I said, I think for the next decade, I think the S&P 500 goes nowhere. The tech stocks will continue to boom. So those are my thoughts. If you like these videos, I'm going to put them out every weekday. Please be sure to like and then turn on the notifications so you know when my videos come out. They usually come out before the market open, usually around I aim for between 8 and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.